All right, let's do this. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back for a Monday edition of the Steel City Sports Report, where we talk everything Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates. I am your host, Brady Vini. How is everyone doing? I really don't have some exuberant intro for today's live stream, going to be honest with you. And sorry, apologies for, coming on a little bit later than usual tonight. Lots to talk about here today. I just wanted to make sure that we had everything here to lay it all out for the most part here in the stream tonight. But yeah, like I said, not any sort of exuberant intro for tonight's live stream, because just like everyone else, the joy and anticipation that we all have for watching Steelers football has completely been drained from us. And no, it is not because we barely got a lick of sleep after last night's beatdown at the hands of the Green Bay Packers. Usually we all come in here off of a Steelers loss with some sort of, level head, revised thoughts, taking emotions out of our thoughts from the game. But today I find no difference whatsoever in what I felt last night and what I feel coming into the live stream here tonight. Last night, final score, Packers 35, Steelers 25. Another abysmal performance from the defense in the second half of the game, and another week upcoming of us asking ourselves, why won't anything change with this team? Because honestly, nothing will change, and we can, not expect anything. Here for in a minute, we're going to do a real quick breakdown of how the game unfolded last night, winners and many, 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 many losers from last night's game. We will also talk about another professional sports team in Pittsburgh that I am completely shocked at this point in the year that I have the most faith in them winning anything of significance this season. And then after that, per usual, we will get into any extra Pittsburgh sports news that we happen to come across along the way. But before we get going here this evening, first off, want to say welcome to each and every one of you in here right now. If you are new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications so that you never miss a thing on the channel here again. Also, go like this live stream, share this live stream, and as you see here on the screen right now, leave any thoughts, questions, opinions, reactions to last night's game, or anything you want to talk about in the comments section. We will get to those here in a minute. Also, go give the channel a follow on Facebook, Instagram, and X at Steel City SR, and tune back in a little bit later on tonight for a new edition of SCSR 60, whenever that may be out this evening. To the comment section, we go here to start off the evening. Already a couple of you in here right now. Let's start right here with Concepts. Welcome back. Starting to think most people didn't actually watch the game. That was so blatantly rigged. It's disgusting. The NFL's a joke. Sorry being negative. Appreciate the content. Just sick of the NFL. We did watch the game last night, and yes, the officiating, I think, was pretty favored towards the Packers on a couple of instances. We'll get to those in a minute. But also, for having a $160 million defense, a future Hall of Fame head coach, and a first ballot Hall of Famer still at quarterback for you, penalties should in no way, shape, or form ever be an excuse for this team, no matter what they are. There were a couple of bad ones last night. We'll mention those in the recap of the game here in a minute. But just all around a absolutely terrible and rotten night for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know I sound like I'm complaining. Maybe I am. I don't blame you, Concepts. I just miss real football. It used to be a great escape. Now it feels like a chore to watch all games, not just Steelers. I honestly feel the same way, Concepts here. Come on here to give live reaction and analysis to every Steelers game. But, ever since I started doing this, I had that excitement, had that rush of watching the Steelers, and, had that for a little bit earlier this season when Aaron Rodgers showed to us that, he's, not as immobile, not as bad as he was in New York. So you got some excitement from that. But now you know what you're going to get from the offense on a nightly basis. They're going to put up at least 25 points. And then the defense, I mean, you just know what to expect from that. How can you get excited for the same bad movie that you've seen time and time again, just keep repeating itself over and over and over again? It's nauseating. And like you said, it feels like a chore more than it is to, hey, stressful. All of our lives are. Let's de-stress here. Watch some good football. How can you, the stress when, this team over and over again is just so predictable, and, it almost feels like sometimes why waste your time doing so? But we push on nonetheless. Black Magic in here again. What is up? I hope you and everyone are doing well. I hope the same thing for you there, Concepts. Everyone greeting each other in here. Yes, back, Concepts again. Sorry a little bit for the late start here. It seemed like the defense fell apart once Elliott got hurt. Do you think safety is the main issue? Most expensive defense, but it's the cheapest safety room without Elliott. Yeah, we will get to that here in a second. I think, it's very easy to say Deshaun Elliott, he's done for the year. But kind of like what I just said a couple of minutes ago, $160 million defense, losing one guy at one position shouldn't cripple you from a performance and communication standpoint. And that's exactly what we saw last night there. Going to get to more of that in the winners and losers segment here. I don't want to, go off too much too early here. But I mean, safety, I think it is now just as big of an issue as, wide receiver number 2, honestly, because without Elliott, you're left to a couple of guys that you picked up off the streets that got cut from 2 lowly organizations in the Jets and Browns this offseason, and then another guy in Jabril Peppers who got cut from a legit contender in the AFC East for the New England Patriots. So, yeah, safety is definitely a worry right now. How they're going to replace Deshaun Elliott. Dare I say he may be irreplaceable from how night and day difference this defense looks with and without him. So we will see what comes of that here moving forward through the rest of the season. Tyrone in here. Welcome, Tyrone, showing love. Can't talk about the Steelers right now. The defense is pathetic. I don't blame you there, Tyrone. If you have any, sort of frustrations, feel free to get those in there. But I don't blame you if you don't want to talk about the Steelers at all either. They're quickly approaching persona non grata where, we just don't want to say anything about them. It's the golden rule that we all learned as children. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. Unfortunately, I'm not going to abide by that rule here this evening. My dad in here, they are some frustrating to watch anymore. So frustrating to watch anymore. You watch and wait for the bottom to fall out. It's just a matter of when, not if. And it's not just that on a game to game basis. It's through the whole year. Like, did we honestly say or think that, whether we made our predictions 10-7, 9-8, something like that, it wasn't, oh, this team's going to, balance back and forth every single, day. We honestly, called this right on the head. They're going to get out to a hot start against some weaker competition. And then both by their own doing and facing tougher competition, the bottom's going to fall out. And then they're going to make getting to 10-7 look like it was, hell on earth that they had to crawl through. And, it's just absolutely terrible right now, this team. So frustrating to watch. Yeah, indeed. And Tomlin, yeah, we're going to talk about Mike Tomlin today too. Don't you worry about that. Tomlin just shakes his head like a bobblehead on the sideline. I got one right here. My favorite bobblehead, Mr. Mac Miller. Every single time that Tomlin sees something, looks up at the scoreboard and then just a little head shake like that. And he doesn't say a thing. Doesn't say a single thing. Flacco in here. Welcome back. Flacco, this stinks. Had high hopes this year. Sell off everybody, honestly. Changes to plans about what's going to happen here at the trade deadline here in 8 days now. Those have changed massively. I don't blame you for coming in there angry, Flacco. We are all feeling that way right now. Al on the prowl, welcome back, Al. It's all about expectations. Yep, I see that. Expectations for this team, my expectations for the year were the same I had last year. And honestly, I don't blame you. We can come on here year after year as long as Mike Tomlin's on the helm, and we'll predict 9-8 with a first round playoff exit, and we will all be spot on. It is like a cheat code that in a video game, honestly. Appreciate all of you in here in the comments section right now. I'm going to try to get to all of your comments here tonight, but I will I am going to apologize in advance if I miss a couple here. You got a lot of comments, a lot of emotions, a lot of thoughts to get out there. Thank you. Please keep them coming. See Black Magic here. Where was DK in the second half? We will talk about DK Metcalf a little bit. He, out of all the good that he's done so far this season, he took a big step back last night. Did have a touchdown, but penalty, absolutely moronic penalty, and having a touchdown dropped in this game, that's of course gonna not put you in good favor. No way this defense should be this bad. Absolutely, $160 million defense, even $100 million defense should not be this terrible. 32nd in the league, dead last in defending the pass. This defense is. But will anything change? Absolutely not. We can go and recite Julian Edelman, former Patriots wide receiver, who literally just this offseason, or it was last season maybe, I don't know, was on a podcast and said, I watched the Steelers tape, and they do the exact same thing when I was playing. You think they would change, but no, they do what they do. That's from one of the all-time great Patriots wide receivers, your arch nemesis for many years in the 2010s. And he's still saying here in 2025, probably a good decade after the fact, they're still doing the same thing. Have a strong start. We have a strong second half team for so long. It's weird starting games so well, then seeing it crumble in the second halves. Same with being crap offense and strong defense. Now it's reverse. Yeah, everything has gone reverse with this team. It is the offense now that needs to, get off to a hot start and carry this team. When in the past it was, can the defense shut down the opposition early? And when it comes down to the 2-minute drill at the end of the day, can they, get that key stop on fourth down or a key turnover? And yeah, everything's gone completely and totally the wrong way. Our linebackers' ass can't tackle shit. Yep, that is true there, Tyrone. Just I promise, everything you guys are saying more often than not, I'm going to hit on and express myself here in the winners and losers segment here. We're going to start that here in a second. Don Shula, Tom Landry, Chuck Noll at the end, they were useless. Yep, we will bring up Tomlin here in a minute as well. Need a wide receiver, corner, and safety, and a possible linebacker corner. Thought a corner get traded today from the Titans to the LA Rams, I believe. So, that option, McCreary, I think it was, that's off the table. But wide receiver and safety, two positions of need, especially now that Elliott's out the rest of the season. I don't even know who, is the top safety available, honestly. How about this? You want to go get a safety? This guy probably, I don't know how he can play anymore. Let's go grab one of Tomlin's boogeymen that he's always, so deathly scared of to face, like Jesse Bates or something like that. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, but yeah, just a terrible game last night. Saw something said our $160 million defense got bullied by a freshman college team. Not going to call the Packers offense or the Packers in general a freshman college team. They are, I think, legit moving forward. So if the Steelers, played competent defense, I might give them a tiny bit of a pass because I think the Packers, they are going to go to the NFC Championship game at least. I like what the Packers got cooking there. But, the Steelers, I think, they beat themselves just as much as the Packers beat them last night. So, all right. But I do appreciate each and every single one of you in the comment section getting your thoughts and opinions on last night's game. in the comment section. Feel free, guys, to keep those rolling on in as we move along. Real quick, before we, get into more, thoughts on what's going on with the team. Real quick, we are going to give a brief review and recap of what went down in the game last night. Steelers heading into the matchup last night against the Green Bay Packers. No Scotty Miller, everyone else a healthy scratch. The Packers, they were down Lucas Van Ness and Dontavian Wicks, so a starting defensive lineman and a depth wide receiver. This is going to be very painful to do, but let's get it out of the way. This quick recap here. Steelers started the game on offense, and for at least one drive, gave us hope, or the Steelers, started the game on defense, and for at least one drive gave us hope that they had learned from their mistakes against the Bengals last week. They forced the Packers to go 3 and out. Steelers offense, they responded with a field goal. That drive looked like the Steelers were going to score a touchdown. It included a 45-yard pass to Roman Wilson, of all people, but then a penalty on DK Metcalf, a push-off. I thought, there, really wasn't any need for a penalty there. It was in 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. That, killed all momentum of that drive, as well as a sack. Chris Boswell, he came on, hit a 56-yard field goal right down the middle. Death taxes, Boz down the middle. Next, go around for the Packers offense. It was back to usual for this Steelers defense. The Packers, with ease, threw the ball down the field on this defense, and it was capped off with a 16-yard catch and run from tight end Tucker Kraft, who, hint, hint, from that point on, dominated the entire game. Poor tackling to prevent him from scoring a touchdown there by the Steelers defense. Issues from the defense carried over to the offense. They had a 3 and out. Pat Freiermuth, he had an illegal shift penalty on that drive. That pretty much, made the Steelers offense DOA there. Packers on that following drive, they again looked like they were going to drive right down the field on offense, but the Steelers, on rare occasion, again, stiffened up at around their own 40-yard line. The Packers tried settling for 3, but kicker Brandon McManus, who I believe returned off of injury last night, he let a 56-yard attempt about a yard or two short. So had it online, just left it short there from McManus. Glad to have Chris Boswell, who is nailing 57-yarders, and their kicker misses a 56-yarder. Glad to have Boz. Steelers, after that missed kick, excellent field position. They got the run game going a bit. Nearly had a touchdown. Aaron Rodgers puts a dot on the hands of DK Metcalf. One of you guys just brought that up in the comments section here a minute ago. Metcalf had it right in his hands, but a defender was all over him and knocked it away. Steelers again settled for a field goal. Another 3 and out from the Packers offense. That set up the Steelers for the third. That set up the Steelers offense. And for the third time in the half, the Steelers kicked a field goal to go ahead 9-17. Packers defensive line on that drive there that forced the Steelers to settle for 3 again. They started sniffing out the run a little bit better, and I think that spooked the Steelers offense. The Packers offense, they followed up with yet another 3 and out. So a missed field goal in 2 straight 3 and outs for the Packers offense. After that, the Steelers, they finally hit pay dirt. Jaylen Warren, his legs, and the connection between DK Metcalf and Aaron Rodgers takes the Steelers 84 yards down the field on 9 plays, finished off by a 2-yard TD pass on a quick slant to Metcalf as the half was nearing an end. 34 seconds left in the half, though. The Packers, they were able to get back into field goal range, but the kicker, McManus, again, missing a 44-yard attempt, pushing it wide to the left, and that is how the first half ended. All in all, fair half for played by the Steelers. Yes, the defense gave us a little bit, of a worry there, but they at least were playing a tiny bit better than they did against the Bengals, so you thought, all right, halftime, 16-7 lead. Offense is humming right now. Let's keep them going. If the defense can, stay the course here, not, implode every single drive, then we should be good to go. Little did we know, well, actually a lot did we know, we kind of, could have guessed this. Everything came crashing down in a hurry. In quick order here, Steelers started the ball out of half. They go 3 and out. Pat Freiermuth gets injured on that 3 and out. On third down, the officials missed a blatant, clear as day jump off sides by 2 Packers players, including Micah Parsons, and the Packers went down 90 yards on a touchdown drive after it. So all of that to start the second half, you knew that the tables, they turned hella quickly right there, and the Steelers, they were in trouble. On that 90-yard touchdown drive for the Packers, the defining play of that drive, and really of the entire game, it's about 3rd and 5. Packers quarterback Jordan Love, pressure in his face. He floats a ball in the air. Like, this was a jump ball, as you will see across the NFL this year. Deshaun Elliott, he, doesn't finish the play. He doesn't get his head around to, see, hey, did the ball actually land on the ground incomplete? Tucker Kraft, who we just mentioned a little bit ago, catches the ball, and he both avoids and carries multiple Steelers defenders trying to tackle him about 50 yards down the field. They went from about their own 30 and, just went all the way down to, I think, the outskirts of the 20 for the Steelers. It was just absolutely horrendous, mind-numbing play to where you just sit there quiet, like, how the hell could this Steelers defense give that up? And to make things even worse, we just talked about it a little bit ago, Steelers safety Deshaun Elliott, he suffers a gruesome-looking knee injury. Looks like he hyperextended his knee. He misses the rest of the game. Also, on that play, argument could be made that Tucker Kraft pushed off at Elliott for a missed OPI, but I think, Elliott, his momentum was taking him away from Kraft. So, I could kind of a little bit see the viewpoint of the officials there. That drive for the Packers, that was capped off by an 8-yard touchdown pass on a screenplay to Savion Williams. That play is going to get brought up in our winners and losers segment here in a little bit. Again, all the Steelers on offense, all they could do was respond with a field goal. Rodgers was cooking a little bit with the passing game there for a hot minute, but there was a strange incompletion where Rodgers, as he was getting sacked, threw the ball in the dirt, and it was called a fumble recovered by the Packers initially, but then they looked at it with an expedited replay review. They gave the Steelers the ball back, but any momentum that they were building up on that drive got killed right there. Unfortunately, that field goal did the Steelers little good. Packers, 78-yard, 10-play touchdown drive. Again, Green Bay's offense, they, at that point, reached their full efficiency. They cooked the Steelers on the ground and through the air. And on the ground, I don't even think it was, Josh Jacobs all that much. Whoever Wilson is, their second-string running back, Steelers, I guess, didn't know that guy existed, or he had an invisibility cloak all over him, because he was just running wide open for a majority of that second half. The back-breaking play on that drive, a third down again happened, and Jordan Love completed a 33-yard floater to Christian Watson in the middle of the field, about 3 Steelers around him, and yet he, who just came off of IR too, by the way, makes the big play there on the reception, puts the Packers on the doorstep of the end zone. 2 plays later, they punch it in, 22-19 lead for Green Bay. Steelers did nothing in response offensively. Rodgers sacked on the first play of the drive, and on top of it, the Steelers, they were given a BS, in my opinion, absolutely horrendous, unnecessary roughness penalty on the punt. We'll bring that up here in the winners and losers here in a minute. What was the final nail in the coffin? A third straight touchdown drive by the Packers in the fourth quarter. This time they only needed 4 plays. Jordan Love back to his bread and butter Tucker Kraft on a 24-yard touchdown pass, easily like a hot knife through butter, right up the middle of the field on this defense. At that point, think it's fair to say we all pretty much checked out for the evening on the Steelers. Got to put up points drive down 10 following that Packers touchdown. They again went 3 and out because DK Metcalf turned into a dumbass, took a 15-yard personal foul penalty that put the Steelers from a 3rd and 2 situation to a 3rd and 17. So that pretty much eliminated any hope that we had left. Packers, they kicked the field goal. Kenneth Gainwell for the Steelers fumbled the ball on the second play of the drive after that. Another field goal for Green Bay. The Steelers then got a garbage time touchdown as Roman Wilson hauled in his first career TD on a 21-yard pass from Aaron Rodgers. Jonnu Smith dropped the 2-point conversion. The Steelers couldn't recover an onside kick attempt, and the ball game was over. Another lifeless and pathetic performance, mostly by the Steelers defense. The organization, again, embarrassed on national television, and they now fall to 4-3 on the season as their divisional opponents are going to slowly be catching up to them, and this is going to turn into a dogfight for the AFC North before we know it. Post-game, didn't hear from too many Steelers. If we did, I'll mention them here in the losers segment. One thing I will mention here, Mike Tomlin, post-game, said from an injury standpoint, Deshaun Elliott and Daniel Ekuale both suffering significant and severe injuries. We'd learned a couple of hours ago from NFL insider Mike Garafolo, Ekuale, a torn ACL for him. Elliott, I'm sure, has a similar injury, probably even worse. So both of those gentlemen think we can predict with certainty they are out for the rest of the season, or at least most of it. Also, Steelers offensive guard Isaac Seumalo, he left the game early with a pec injury. I think he had a similar injury to that earlier this season. So that, still, regardless, pec injury. We had TJ Watt with a pec injury a couple of years ago. We know that those are long-term injuries too. But hey, at least Pat Freiermuth, after taking that nasty shot to the thigh, he at least was able to finish last night's game. So, again, just a terrible performance. Steelers needed to show us a whole hell of a lot that what the Bengals game was just an anomaly. They only confirmed it to be their truest form. So, can't get any lower than this, but we know the Steelers, they will find a way to do it. So, to the comment section we go here. Tons of you leaving comments while I was doing that brief recap of the game last night. Flacco here, very true. They should have had 41 points if Brandon McManus is not coming off of injury, or they had another kicker. I know they had Lucas Havrasek, I think is who it was, as their punter while McManus was out. Even if he kicks, the Packers do put up, I think, 41 points in that game. Folks started crying about no calls. Yeah, I mean, calls, they're one thing. I see, you, Magic, and Tyrone getting into a bit of an argument there. That's all right. But yeah, penalties, as bad as they were last night, I'm not going to take them as any sort of issue here. Tomlin or Flacco here, love Tomlin, but let the coordinators do their freaking job. So we can't blame Tomlin. Honestly, I think Arthur Smith, for the most part, does do his own thing with the offense, and we give him credit. It's not like we come on here and criticize Tomlin for the way the offense is performing. However, gonna mention it, bring it up here in a minute. Regardless of what, I'd rather have that go the other way, Flacco. Honestly, we all come on here and say, when the defense has trouble, sure, Terrell Austin is a part of the problem, but it's Mike Tomlin's baby, and he runs things there defensively. He thinks that his scheme is the perfect one-size-fits-all defensive scheme that is perfect in the NFL, and he just, needs to go out and get high-profile players to do it. However, I think if you let Terrell Austin do his thing, he's a bad enough coordinator. letting him run the defense. Maybe you get a tiny bit better. Maybe you get a tiny bit worse. I want to see just Tomlin, say one game, hey, anything that goes on with the defense, I'll take accountability. I will run it today. And any flack you have, with it, it comes straight at me. But we all know he won't do that because accountability is his kryptonite here. This is just, Tucker Kraft, a dirty player, no respect for him, pushes off, then takes out Elliott, no call. But then Ben Skoranek gets attacked by two players and somehow gets penalty. I'm not going to, get on Tucker Kraft, whatever, that was with Elliott. The push off, it's one thing, but I don't think he was injuring Deshaun Elliott their concepts. And why can't DK push off 1 yard past the line of scrimmage, which is legal? That's why we threw our arms up at that last night too, when we were on here talking about it. So I have no idea what the hell they were looking at in that game. So Jamar Chase, and Kraft, they can push off, get no calls. It's not the coaching's fault. Yes, the coaches deserve blame 100%, but they can't help bad refs. I agree with that concepts here, but still, highest paid defense. I'm not going to make too many excuses for them. Bengals lost to the Jets. Extra salt in the wound. Not sure. I'm going to take that as a positive. Justin Fields, the sleeper agent, coming in clutch for that. Al on the prowl here. DK Metcalf hasn't impressed me. Especially in that game. He certainly did not. All of you feel free to keep your comments coming in here while we keep going along here. I'm going to get into the first winners and losers acknowledgement of the day here. Going to start here, of course, with a loss. Going to start with a loser. And as you guys are, I'm sure, talking about it a bunch right now, the coaching staff. They are loser numero uno tonight for last night, I guess. If you watched last night's game from beginning to end and you are still defending Mike Tomlin today, you must be some sort of expert debater or lawyer, because I don't know how anyone can still defend him as the head coach of this team anymore. He's clearly incapable of adapting to what the opposition throws his way. He isn't going to change any sort of philosophy that he, brings to this team. And accountability is something that, as much as he says to the media that I, hate coaches that don't take accountability, he is probably, the coach that takes the least accountability. He says it, but he doesn't take it. So what's his saying? We don't live in our fears. Tomlin lives in his fears the most. I hate coaches that don't take accountability. Well, it's your defense that you keep, for some reason, wanting to bail out. Did anyone catch Mike Tomlin's press conference last night after the game? If you don't, I don't blame you, because, it was pushing midnight here on the East Coast. But I can't remember off the top of my head what exactly he said, but one of his opening points in his press conference was some critique of the offense. He again brought up something that the offense didn't do or did wrong first before he brought up anything relating to his defense. Without the offense, you lose that game 35. If you want to go back, a couple of years when Kenny Pickett and Mitch Trubisky and those guys were still quarterback, you probably lose that game 35, probably actually 45, because your offense ain't going to sustain drives and you're going to go 3 and out more times than not. You're probably going to lose 45 to 10 if you're lucky against that defense. So bringing up the offense that gave you a lead heading into the second quarter and still, had you in a good position, within a score in the fourth quarter, that's on you, the coaching staff and the defense. So I don't know where the hell Tomlin is, bringing that all up. Honestly, this is just like, in my opinion, the situation with Mike Sullivan and the Pittsburgh Penguins, only it's been played out for about, I'd say, 10 to 8 years too long. Sure, Tomlin can still be a great coach, and he can still go into the Hall of Fame as a coach someday. But his time here has gotten so rotten that it needs to end immediately. And I think he and the Steelers would both benefit immensely from a change. Tomlin, I'm sure if he goes somewhere else, to another organization, he is going to be able to motivate that team and get whatever team he goes to, which will probably be, a team that hasn't had all that much success recently. I'm sure if he were to go to a team somewhere, he would elevate that organization immediately and be able to motivate that group out of the depths of hell and obscurity that they're in. Same thing for the Steelers. It's 2025. The league has shifted incredibly in favor of offense, that this defense first mentality and this idea that Tomlin still thinks you can win ball games in 2025 17 to 13 and stuff like that, it's just impossible. Damn near impossible. So bringing in a guy with a fresh modern day look on football, and also Tomlin going somewhere else where his message will actually be refreshing instead of just in one ear and out the other, like I think it is here in Pittsburgh, it would benefit both teams. Honestly, something needs to change here, but we all know it's not going to. After the game, Tomlin said, "We got to be better in a lot of we got to be better in a lot of areas. We all have to own it. Certainly, you start with the schematics, man, because that's the leadership component of it. And certainly, we'll be looking at everything that we're doing because some of these problems are somewhat repetitive and we're not getting better fast enough." One, understatement of the freaking year there for Tomlin. Two, I think we all can agree saying that we got to look at things from a schematics standpoint. We're having the same repetitive problems over and over again. We're not getting better fast enough. Do you really think that any of that's going to change? Honestly, we're going to sit down here on Sunday at 1 o'clock. We're going to see the same old soft-ass Tampa 2 defense on that TV screen. And the Colts, with Jonathan Taylor, they are going to run at will. And we'll see wide receivers and tight ends catch the ball with not a single Steeler within 5 to 10 yards of. Again, all lip service there from Tomlin. But you watch. The real problem is Tomlin, but at some point, sooner or later, I think defensive coordinator Terrell Austin, he is going to be the fall guy here. Honestly, he's to blame just as much as Tomlin is, but instead of just being a kiss-ass yes man to Tomlin, he could, every once in a while try to make some sort of adjustment in game against Tomlin and, change up the play calling, or at the very least, do something to prevent blown coverages left and right by the secondary. Did not mention him here with the defensive coaches. Arthur Smith, he also is to blame a good bit as well, because his play calling, again, another suspect game calling for him for some inexplicable reason, completely goes away from the run in the second half. Even as you see the Packers, coming back, and even when they went up 3 points, you would think, let's run the ball a little bit more, get a little bit more creative with the running game and chew up some of this clock here to help out our defense, give them a breather. But nope, none of that again there from old Arthur Smith. And to wrap up talking about the losers, which are the coaches here, I'm going to lump this guy in here. Shame on Art Rooney. He allows this to happen year after year after year after year without any sort of change whatsoever, or pressure at least, put on this coaching staff. When you have fans, media, and Steelers alumni all saying at once that this organization has lost its way, probably you take the biggest blame in it. This organization has gotten so far away from the success that we've known the Steelers to have in recent years, that fans right now, as much as they're saying fire Tomlin, they're going to start chanting sell the team Rooney maybe here soon enough anyways, or at least pass it off to your son Danny, because he's next in line, and from accounts that I've heard, he is 10 times the football guy invested in the actual team and product on the field than Art has ever been. So we'll see what comes of that here moving forward. Going to real quick catch up on some of the comments that you guys have right here, reacting to my first loser of the night, which is the coaching staff. Tomlin gets outcoached every game. Has had a couple of games where he didn't get outcoached. The Vikings game comes up to mind, but I think time just ran out on Minnesota in that one. Saying that he lives in his sphere. I love the meme that I've been seeing recently. It's like a Subway meme where it says, customer be like, I hate this sandwich, it sucks. Brother, you made the sandwich. So that's exactly what Tomlin is right now, saying, oh, we got to be better with our schematics. We got to, win the weighty downs, all that. Like, dude, you're the one in charge of all this, and you still ain't doing it. So it's just nauseating. It's kind of going and honoring Brian Kelly, now former head coach of the LSU Tigers. He got fired last night while we were watching that game. We're sitting here again talking about the same things, and it will not change. Real quick here. Concepts. Once Sayamalu got hurt, it seemed like the O-line fell apart. I was harsh on Sayamalu this year, but I may have been mistaken there. Is Isaac underappreciated by me as well? I think you can say both things at the same time. Has Sayamalu, shown his age and has declined a little bit in his play this year? Yes, I think that is a fair statement, but also on an offensive line that is young, inexperienced, and really there is little depth behind them. Losing Sayamalu, that is a massive blow to the offensive line, not just because you lose that veteran presence there, but also because once Sayamalu went out last night, who went in to replace him? Spencer Anderson. When have we seen Spencer Anderson on the field a ton recently? As that sixth offensive lineman in the jumbo tight end package. Once Sayamalu went out, Anderson filled in. Any, chance or idea of using the jumbo tight end package in the running game, it went right out the window. And I hope Arthur Smith has a backup plan in mind, because I don't know if that's a reason why he went away from the running game, but I hope he has a backup plan, because losing one guy on the offensive line shouldn't cripple your entire running game like what we think it did there last night. Tyrone here brought up the offense. Like, what? Look at the defense. Yeah, it's like, I've been trying all day to think of an analogy here. It's like when, like, you have, say, a little brother and a little sibling and an older sibling. The little sibling, which is Tomlin's baby, little siblings, they're the babies. They can do 80 things wrong, but when that older one does, one minute thing wrong, then they, get approached by it immediately. And I bet, on the offensive side of the ball, I'm sure if any of those players heard that, I would be fuming. And looking at, him on the sidelines, because the cameras, they were on him all night long. I think Aaron Rodgers, he really got frustrated. Not with, I think how the offense performed as much as, initial look, but I think, he was frustrated that, he realized once the offense hit a bit of a hole in the road that it was all downhill from there because the defense can't be relied on to make a single stop. Concepts here: Equale torn ACL, Elliott probably done, Sayamalu pec injury, which was lingers, Muth hip injury, rough game injury wise. Yeah, that was I think by far the worst injury game of the year. Elliott, he's probably the biggest loss out of all of them from a defensive standpoint, as crazy as that sounds. Sayamalu's pec injury, if it's a torn pec, I mean, you're probably looking at him done for the year, because a pec injury, you may be able to get away with that if you're like the defensive back or a linebacker. I think we saw a couple of years ago, TJ Watt came back from a pec injury. However, offensive linemen, you're going to have defensive linemen, punching you in the chest with their hands, and you're going to, use a ton of mobility with your arms here trying to fend those guys off. Pec injury for an offensive lineman, that's going to be a much more, that's going to be a much longer injury than anyone else, than any other position, in my opinion. Yeah, Tyrone here. They just said he's still in the 2010s. Yep, I agree there. Elliot, I'm terrified for this defense now. I am too, honestly. There, at least Roman came to play. Bright side, yes. I'll say F off, LOL. That actually brings me, concepts. I will take that comment of yours and roll it into the next winner from last night's game. Winner number one, not, number one in terms of he was, the best winner, but winner number one here that I'm going to bring up, Roman Wilson. Actually, we saw a good bit of him last night, and that's promising. I think he played 46% of the offensive snaps. So a sizable increase for him, and he took it, and he ran with it. 4 receptions, 74 yards, his first career touchdown. Yes, it was in garbage time, but still, congratulations to him. He showed legitimate NFL stuff, in my opinion, and I think, I think we've said this before. He just needed, a look here, and he got it. Hopefully this continues, and that he continues to get more opportunities moving forward. Other than him, last night, no real other receiving threat showed up. Metcalf dropped TD, couple of penalties, one being a dumb, hot-headed personal foul. Calvin Austin, he was almost invisible in his return from injury, and none of the tight ends really got going. So, yeah, Roman Wilson last night, he is definitely a winner in my book. I agree with your assessment there. Jonathan Harvey, welcome, Jonathan. Obvious losers are the 11 men on defense and Austin and Tomlin. That is going to bring me to my second loser of the night. I wanted to separate the coaching and the defense, even though they kind of run together. The defense, they probably are the biggest loser last night. And without, bringing up what they gave up to the Packers last night, because we all knew that it was very, very terrible, let's just real quick, I am going to list off for you these stats right here that I, gathered up last night off the internet. And I want you to come back and tell me which one of these is the worst. All right. Off the top, the Steelers defense has now allowed over 30 points in 4 of their 7 games this season. Horrendous for a $160 million defense. The Steelers defense has also allowed 369 yards or more from opposing offenses in 6 of their 7 games this season. With cheese definition of a defense right there. They haven't had a turnover since the third quarter against the Vikings over in Dublin, so they are going to be pushing a month here before they've had a turnover in the United States. They have allowed a season-high passing yard performance to 4 consecutive quarterbacks, those quarterbacks being Carson Wentz. I think he just had season-ending shoulder surgery today. Dylan Gabriel with the Browns, Joe Flacco with the Cincinnati Bengals, and, of course, last night, Jordan Love. And then bringing this back to a focus on last night's game, the Steelers' defense last night, Jordan Love, 29 for 37, 360 passing yards, and 3 passing touchdowns. Not even that stat line is the most damning thing. He had 20, count to 10 twice, 20 straight completions, which I'm sure was around or over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. Holy hell, this defense, these stats, they are first overall pick type stuff of defense right now. This is some historically bad defensive work right there. Remember in the offseason when you had Mike Tomlin saying, oh, we think this defense can go man-to-man with any unit, including Cincinnati. Peyton Wilson was calling himself the best coverage linebacker in football. Joey Porter Jr. said, we got 3 elite corners in this defense, including himself in that threesome. And also Juan Thornhill saying that this defense was historic. At least Thornhill was right. This defense is historic. It's historically bad, historically terrible. So, yeah. And if you're a quarterback going up against this defense, you're going to have a historic day, at least personally wise. So, yeah, just absolutely horrendous stats there from the defense. I don't even need to bring up any other stats from the Packers game last night other than the Jordan Love one right there. But this has been an all year long issue. And do we think it's going to I still think that, you know, it's going to continue and it's going to get worse. I don't know how much worse, but there is no light at the end of the tunnel for this defense. Nothing, whether it's a schematic change or a change in personnel. I don't think, you know, anything is going to save them at this point. If you want to, you know, dial this down a little bit in this $160 million defense to a personal, you know, individual performance standpoint, let's go player by player here a little bit. TJ Watt, another no-show performance for him for the most part. Might have gotten to Jordan Love once or twice. And, you know, I think we can, as Steelers fans, you know, head-to-head is one thing, but Myles Garrett and Micah Parsons, they have surpassed TJ Watt officially. Garrett yesterday, 5 sacks against the New England Patriots. That is more in one game than Watt has had all year. And any sort of, you know, aura or feeling that you would get that, oh, hey, look at TJ here. Watch TJ on this play. I got a feeling he's going to make a play here. You don't have any of that anymore. All of that, you know, fear factor that he brought, it's all gone now, in my opinion. Switching up to another guy who's getting paid big bucks, Cam Hayward, didn't do a damn thing last night. And then in his post-game press conference, probably the most damning statement from the person that you would least want to hear it from on this defense. Cam Hayward, post-game, questioned the heart of this defense when facing adversity, saying, there's not a lot of fight in us right now. That is coming from your undisputed leader of the defense and the longest tenured player on this Steelers team. There is no fight in us right now. Tells you all you need to know about where this defense is and where it's heading. Another one here, Nick Herbig. Probably not his fault, but again, a minuscule 24 snaps played defensively by him. I guess the Steelers were still worried as, you know, they were giving up big chunk plays to Christian Watson and Tucker Kraft and Romeo Doubs. I guess they were still fearful of the run. I guess there, Nick Herbig again playing little snaps defensively. But still, though, in those 24 defensive snaps, you are Herbig as the clear-cut, most dynamic pass rusher on this defense right now. You're still allowed to make a play at least once in those 24 snaps. Also, I know there's the whole second man in always getting called thing in sports, but you guys brought up the officiating here. I'm going to, give Herbig a break on that personal foul, unnecessary roughness penalty, because Ben Skoranek, he gets double teamed by the Packers and pushed down to the ground. No issue with that. That is what their job is. But when they're on top of him for a good 5 seconds and it looks like they're mugging him in an alleyway, I don't blame Herbig one bit for coming over, and I believe it was Bo Melton who he knocked off of Skoranek. And on top of it, Herbig gets called for the unnecessary roughness penalty there. What makes me even more pissed off at the officials, it's not the Tucker Kraft push-off. It's not the DK Metcalf within 5 yards push-off that got called. It is that, okay, Herbig gets that penalty. After the fact, Javon Bullard, who was still on top of Skoranek, gets up and to, I think, Christian Kuntz and Carson Bruner, starts giving them 2 pieces left and right with his, open hands to the face. Obvious slaps, at least, 3 slap punches there. Not a single one of them were picked up by the officials. At the very least, there should have been offsetting minors there, but there was nothing of the sort. So that was that for Herbig. Last player here that I want to go in depth on individual performance. Once again, Darius Slay. He looks washed, slow, ready for retirement, quite honestly. But the least you can do is that when you have an opportunity to make a play, at least give full effort. That Savion Williams touchdown, I said we will come back to it. A screen pass from about 10 yards out. He's running up the sideline, right near the out of bounds marker. Darius Slay is right there. The least you can do is throw your body out at this guy. He might still, be able to dive in the end zone, but at least give more than just a two-handed touch like you're playing backyard football with your little cousins, and let him walk into the end zone without, little resistance. That was poor effort there by Darius Slay. Had a chance to at least, make him earn that touchdown, and he didn't take it at all. Business decision from him, in my opinion. Thank God they cut his snaps to around 50%. Honestly, it should be lower against the Colts here in about a week. But, I could go on and on here all night with guys who just had absolutely horrendous performances out there on the field. Patrick Queen, can he make a tackle solo? I don't know if he can anymore. He accounted for like 5 or 6, probably more, broken tackles last night. Joey Porter Jr., for a little stretch there at the beginning, had a good game, but then got handsy again. Had one pass interference penalty that the Packers didn't need to take because it was a 33-yard gain. So he's still, suspect. The safeties, when Deshaun Elliott goes down, doesn't matter if it was Chuck Clark, Juan Thornhill, even Jabril Peppers out there, they couldn't do a damn thing to stop those deep shots down the field. So just absolutely horrendous game from this defense. Altogether, this unit, after coming off an embarrassing, emasculating performance against the Bengals about 11 days ago, they went out there last night and they showed more of the same. Piss poor tackling, multiple miscommunications that led to broken coverages, and the entire unit quit before the fourth quarter. Also, a defense worth half of what they're making should not give up a lead like that, 17-6 coming out of half, and I think the Steelers still had a bit of a lead heading into the fourth quarter. Highest paid defense by far in the NFL shouldn't be able to blow leads like that. So just horrendous stuff from them. Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention, believe it was Jonathan Harvey up here who said obvious losers, those 11 men on defense and Austin and Tomlin. I believe the Packers at one point went for a 2-point conversion. It was caught by Romeo Doubs. The Steelers had 10 players on the field. I guess Deshaun Elliott was missed more ways than one, literally missed out there on the field because no one went out there on the 2-point conversion. Only 10 guys for the Steelers there. I guess, that's why Doubs was so wide open on that 2-point play. Though if the Steelers did have 11 out there, do you really think that it would have made a difference? I don't. So, just historically bad. Mic drop. Got a mic on my stand right here. If I could drop it on screen, I would, but just, yeah, terrible. Yeah, he won't go nowhere. Neither we've seen this movie often defended him so much. It's obvious people blind and they can't see it's Tomlin. Yeah, just terrible. TJ Watt and the whole defense. There's no sort of fear factor or anticipation that TJ is going to come in clutch anymore. And now that $41 million contract handed out to him looks so much more terrible. It's going to be an anchor. I support him, but at some point, got to open your eyes. Missed play Slay. I like that one, Concepts. Big play Slay, my ass. Missed play Slay. Pierre Island always on ice Trice to save the day. Put in more James Pierre and more Corey Trice. I love that one. I like that one. Tyrone. Just like Minka said, people think you wear the black and gold and win games, but got to work hard for it. Yeah, I agree with that, Tyrone. This, what's the word I'm looking for here? This thought or belief that once you don that black and gold, and teams, when they look across the field and they see that black and gold, thinking that you're going to need to earn every blade of grass that you gain, that mystique, it's all gone. And, you bring up Minka there. This safety situation is what it is. Would it be, better at all if Minka was here? I don't know. Also, that trade, Minka for Jalen Ramsey, the way Ramsey has not showed up in the past 2 games, kind of, bringing that trade from a Steelers win back to, more even there. So we'll see how that plays out the rest of the season here. Jonathan Harvey, Coach T, that is downright annoying. Mike Tomlin is a loser decorated with praise because he presents himself as a dignified, well-spoken man. Dude isn't as good as the praise he gets. Yeah, honestly, Coach T, at one point, was he a hell of a motivator for this team? Yes. And for some reason, does he still draw in players with, great resumes? Also, yes. But at the same time, the schematics of the NFL have long passed him by. And, could he be a coach somewhere else? I'm sure. But also, with him being this wordsmith, he's going to be better off at, doing TV than he does coaching anymore. Mike Float says Flacco there. No defensive turnovers, 2 games in a row. That sounds effort related. Your thoughts? It could be, but also, when teams are looking and they're seeing the Steelers play the same soft zone every single time, then they're not going to be able to. The offense is seeing the same zone scheme over and over and over again. And now that there's 2 games of tape put on the Steelers defense of what to expect from them offenses, they're going to be able to, dink and dunk, short passes, screen passes like we saw last night. And when they take their shots, they're able to, wait for their guys to find an open space, and you can send a college quarterback out there and he'll be able to put it in there. So effort, certainly is a factor in it, but when the offense knows that you're doing the same thing over and over again, they're going to know how to avoid it, and you're going to have no chance, honestly. When Tomlin moves on from Pittsburgh, I bet the sun in the sky will shine, causing no nighttime in Pittsburgh. Bad energy is gone. Mike Tomlin was a good coach for us. Unfortunately, you can't coach forever. Team needs a new system. Funny you say that out on the prowl. Sounds exactly like the Pittsburgh Penguins, which they just popped up on the screen over here to my right. They're about to drop the puck against the St. Louis Blues here in a minute. But that's the exact same thing that it was just rectified with the Pens. Mike Sullivan, fantastic coach, franchise legend, I believe all-time winning coach with the Penguins. It was time for him to move on. He agreed. They went their separate ways. Now, look at the Penguins. New, fresh head coach with a modern-day look at the game of hockey, and the Pens, they're off to an unexpected but pleasant hot start to the season. And hopefully that continues here tonight against the Blues. So, I think, the Steelers, they are in the same situation that the Penguins were for the past 2 or 3 years, only they've let their situation go on for about 8 years too long. Not one sack on Jordan Love, 360 yards passing from Jordan Love. Tucker Kraft, a Hall of Fame tight end yesterday. Yep, on National Tight End Day, too. Forgot to say that. I had a prediction that one of the Steelers' tight ends was going to get into the end zone, but Jonnu Smith, he's still MIA in this offense. Darnell Washington was only used as a run blocker, and Freiermuth got hurt, so there went that out there. We ain't done none since 2016. Who could have thunk in the era of the Killer Bees, Ben, Bell, Brown, and I'm putting Boswell in there as well, that 2016 would be that blowout loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars. That would be it for the Steelers. Before Chuck Noll left, couldn't believe a time without Chuck Noll. Wasn't believable. As soon as Cowher got here, we were a much better team. Yep, could be in store for the same thing. Now, one thing I do want to bring up, if Art Rooney is doing the hiring, do you really believe him to bring in some sort of, new head coach that's going to be here for the next, 10, 15 years? If he's willing to keep Tomlin this long, I have zero faith that whatever, head coach he brings in next is going to be, a long-term guy here. Tells you about his poor decision-making. Indeed, there, Tyrone. Those Steelers fans are not used to this pain. Well, 9-8 seasons. We're pretty used to that. We're more, numb than anything right now. That's the frustrating part about it. You expect the same thing, and without fail, it comes. And sure, you're a little bit frustrated, but also it's like you don't feel the immense sadness or anger that you once did. You're just numb to it. So, all right, 14 of you in here right now. Welcome to the stream. I apologize if I'm going to be like an owl, no pun intended to you there, owl on the prowl. I'm going to be, one ear cuff off here, panning over to see how the Penguins game is doing. Real quick, just finishing up the winners and losers from last night's Steelers-Packers game. Another winner for the Steelers. I don't really need to say anything here. Chris Boswell, 4 for 4 on field goals, 2 from 56 yards. Whatever that man wants to be paid in the offseason, you pay him, because without Aaron Rodgers, he would be by far the Steelers' offensive MVP this season. And if the Steelers somehow won last night, he'd probably be the guy that you would give a large chunk of the credit for that win. By far, best kicker in the NFL, not taking any counter arguments right now. Anyway, some other losers from last night's game. Steelers offensive line, Isaac Seumalo got hurt, but even if he was in there, they were still giving up tons of pressure, and I think at least 3 sacks on Rodgers. Broderick Jones had a bit of a rough time against Micah Parsons, and Parsons lined up over the center quite a bit. Mason McCormick and Zach Frazier couldn't handle him either. Rashawn Gary 8 against Troy Fautanu. So rough night again for the offensive line. Rodgers finally starting to get hit again. Renegade, that's a loss. That's a loser. The song that the Steelers play, the anthem of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Just like I said, TJ Watt has lost all sort of aura and magic that he was going to he's going to make a play. Renegade, it has done the same thing. I apologize here to your ears, ladies and gentlemen. You just heard me, saw me pump my fist right there. I think yet again, roughly a minute into the hockey game, the Pittsburgh Penguins have scored a goal. Brian Rust, let's see here. Fantastic backhand pass there, I think from Erik Karlsson, and Brian Rust from the face-off dot up and over the glove of Joel Hofer. So 1-0 Penguins. I apologize here. I'm going to hit the goal horn that I still have here. That was about 45 minutes into the game over here, and now the Penguins got another chance of getting Malkin on in, and it's another goal. Another goal for the Pens. 2 goals in 55 seconds for the Penguins. I needed this. We needed to cheer up, have some sort of pride in a Pittsburgh Pro team. And the Penguins, 2-0, just like that. Evgeny Malkin with Anthony Mantha, a player for the Blues, was back checking. Gino takes a man with him, throws it back in front for Anthony Mantha. He's got a wide open cage to tap it into. 2-0 Pens. How about it? Hell yeah. From the Pens right there. Anyways, before the Pens score any more goals here, let's real quick finish the winners and losers. Like I said, Renegade, it is a loser, just like TJ Watt. Any sort of aura or mystique it had, it is long gone. I think teams are now, getting more fired up by Renegade than the defense does. The Steelers, they play Renegade last night. The fans on cue, whichever, however many Steelers fans were still there, got up, waved their towels, gave a little bit of a cheer and energy. What happens? Very first play out of Renegade, 12-yard run right at TJ Watt up the right side of the field, and a first down there for the Packers. So Renegade, I am all for at this point until this defense figures out their shit at least a little bit. Just table it and put it away for a sunny day. And the last loser from last night, Steelers fans who sell their tickets to the opposition. I get it, this team is hard to go and watch right now, but at least, when you sell off your tickets, at least, check the zip code of the people buying the tickets. That was, approaching 50% Packers fans last night in Acrisure Stadium. Home field advantage for the Steelers. It has completely vanished. There were chants of go Pack go, through the night. They got louder as the game went on. So, just those are the many losers of the game last night for the Penguins. And to wrap things up, talking about this pathetic team in the game last night, things with the defense, they're only going to get worse, not just because I have zero faith they're going to figure things out, but also the Steelers, this is their upcoming schedule. This upcoming weekend, Steelers going to play quite possibly the best team in the NFL, the 7-1 Indianapolis Colts, who honestly could have been 8-0. They come in with the best running back in the league, Jonathan Taylor, and the number 1 scoring offense in the NFL. Taylor, honestly, he may rush for 20 yards, and the Colts might put up 45 to 50 points on the Steelers, and I'm dead serious when I say that. Taylor, by the way, Jonathan Taylor, yesterday became the 5th player since 2000 with at least 3 scrimmage yard touchdowns in 4 games in a season. In 4 straight games, I think. Joins LaDainian Tomlinson, Marshall Faulk, Sean Alexander, and Priest Holmes. So you are getting the best running back in the NFL coming downhill right at this suspect still Steelers rushing defense. After that, back on primetime television 2 weekends from now. Sunday Night Football out in LA against the Chargers. Justin Herbert making a case for MVP for himself this year, and the Steelers defense will probably struggle again because they tend to do that out on the West Coast. After that, another date with Tomlin's boogeyman, Joe Flacco, and the Cincinnati Bengals. Do you really think anything is going to be different that time around? Then the Chicago Bears, even though they aren't the most frightening team, I still have faith that new head coach there, Ben Johnson, former OC of the Detroit Lions, will come up with some sort of game plan that dices up this Tomlin defense. Then you got the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, don't need to say anything more. The Baltimore Ravens, again, it was the Bears, but they looked damn good yesterday with Snoop Huntley at quarterback, and Lamar Jackson will be healthy by then. And then, sure, near the end of the season, you got the Browns and Dolphins, but you also got the Detroit Lions in Detroit and the Baltimore Ravens, I believe, in Baltimore. So, yeah, we are definitely, once again, ladies and gentlemen, staring right down the pike here at a 9-8 season. And nothing will be done to change it or try to prevent it. Fantastic. To the comments section, we go here, catching up on your comments. Again, sorry concepts, RIP to your eardrums. I did say I apologize because that horn is pretty loud. It is worth it, though. This Penguins team, we're going to talk about them here in a hot minute. Very promising start. At least there's one team that is entertaining us and that we know has a chance to win on a nightly basis. They are doing exactly that. Now, approaching 5 minutes gone by here in this game. And good save there by Tristan Jarry. No, it went in. Damn it. So, never mind. The St. Louis Blues, they strike right back, and it is former Penguin Nick Bjugstad. Didn't realize he was with the Blues. He scores that goal. Huh. Bit of a semi 2-on-1 right there for the Blues. Thrown right to the front of the net. Harrison Brunick can't get back, and Bjugstad didn't get all of it, but it still got past Tristan Jarry. I thought Jarry saved it. So now it's a 2-1 lead for the Pens. Tyrone, got no faith, to be honest. Look at the next few games, just rattled them off, and I don't blame you. I'm in the same boat with you there, Tyrone. Coaching vacancies, talking about college football here. LSU and Penn State, to name a few. In the NFL, Pittsburgh should be a coaching vacancy middle of December. Yeah. Honestly, I'd be intrigued to see if any NFL coaches go down to those, high-profile schools, LSU and Penn State, and if there's any, elite coaching guys in college, focused on offense, if the Steelers may take a look at them, or defense, honestly, because Arthur Smith, he might get a job somewhere else if he's a head coaching candidate still, and Terrell Austin, he needs to go this offseason one way or another. Can we even trade TJ now, says Al on the Prowl. At that price tag, probably not. If we can, we should be trading off. Honestly, I don't know who could be traded off for the Steelers. At this point, we're going to bring it up here in a bit. I'm not trading anything above a, 4th round pick for a wide receiver or any player at this trade deadline now. Because Steelers, they have too many, holes in their roster. Not all of them are going to get filled. And, if you do fill them, then we've seen what this team's true colors are. And it's the same thing they've been year after year. It's not like they're going to go into the playoffs and make noise here, so why waste a draft pick going out and getting someone? Now all of a sudden, after one game, holding all of those picks now, and we'll see if they trade off anyone here at the trade deadline. Might be a small give and go. I don't know. Teams used to fear us, man. Now we just a joke. Indeed, there, Tyrone. Acrisure Stadium, formerly Heinz Field, used to be a house of horrors for teams. Now they view it like a ball pit at Chuck E. Cheese. Honestly, it's insane. Anyways, none of you still in here, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so that you never miss when I'm live again. Gonna real quick switch gears before we get into the extra Pittsburgh sports news here for the evening. Just going to real quick hit on the Pittsburgh Penguins. They have a game ongoing here to my right. But just to recap what went down with them over the weekend. Pens, Saturday night, taking on the Columbus Blue Jackets. No Harrison Brunick or Ben Kindle, the two kids in the lineup for the Pens Saturday night. They both were given nights off to, keep their energy up. Arturs Shalov's got the start in net for Columbus. Before the game, cool ceremony. Scotty Bowman, Eddie Johnston, Kevin Stevens, and Ron Francis, those four gentlemen getting inducted into the Pittsburgh Penguins Hall of Fame. They were honored pregame. Very cool honor that those guys received, and they deserved every single bit of that recognition. Talking about some key figures, key players in how successful the Penguins franchise has been and how it has been built up to what it is today. After that, getting into the game itself from Saturday, the Pens, kind of like just here tonight, they got off to a heck of a hot start. I believe it was 59 seconds into the game. Ryan Shea, first shot, first goal. Usually the Pens are on the other side of that. Pens go up 1-0. Also, moving along here in the first period, Matt Dumba, who got inserted into the lineup for the Pens, he had his first fight as a Penguin, laid out Boone Jenner, captain for the Blue Jackets, and then they scrapped. It was a good tilt. Jackets ended up tying it up. Charlie Coyle putting home a rebound fairly all alone in front of the net. The Pens got that goal back in the late stages of the first period. Anthony Mantha, who just scored here a moment ago for the Pens, he scored, shot from the dot, beat, I believe, Elvis Merzlikins for the Blue Jackets. The Pens did get outshot in that period 16-7, but it was a hard period to judge because no team really outperformed the other. Pens in the second period did come close to potting a couple of goals that, just skipped along the goal line there. Crazy that none of those went in. Then the Jackets got going. I believe it was Dmitry Voronkov for the Blue Jackets. He was left all alone to one-time a puck from the face-off dot. That beat Shalov's. Heading into the third period, two more goals for the Blue Jackets. One from Yegor Chinikov from way out, a snipe to the top corner of the net. And then Voronkov again down near the goal line. So things are looking bleak for the Pens, down 4-2. Then, with 5 minutes left to go, the Pens stormed back in quick succession. Chris Letang on the power play, bombs away from the middle of the blue line, beats Merzlikins. Not feeds one across the offensive zone. Brian Rust all alone, backdoor pots it. 4-4 ties up the game. Game went to overtime, then to a shootout. And as good as Arturs Shalov's was at points in that game for the Pens, in regulation and the overtime, he was terrible in the shootout. Let in all three goals. Let in 3 goals on all 3 shooters he faced for Columbus. The Pens tried to play catch-up. They scored their first 2 goals, but then I believe Evgeny Malkin shot it high to end the game. So 5-4, you see the final score there. The Blue Jackets beating the Pens. Pens did get a point. So, at least we know that they are able to overcome adversity, unlike another Pittsburgh sports team, and make a comeback. But the loss to the Blue Jackets wasn't even the worst part. In that game, Penguins, they lost Ricard Raquel. Hand injury, probably broke it. He had a procedure performed on his hand yesterday by Dr. John Fowler at UPMC Mercy Hospital. So he is out 6 to 8 weeks. Also, the Pens lost a man on the back end before that game. Defenseman Caleb Jones took a nasty spill into the boards a couple of games ago. He is out with a lower body 8 weeks. With that, Pens recalled Ville Koivunen from the AHL. We just got a look at him on the TV screen over here a moment ago. He, in I think 6 games with Wilkes-Barre, 11 points, 4 goals, and 7 assists. So hopefully Koivunen started the year with the NHL squad, got sent down to the minors. Now he's back up. Hopefully he can continue that production here tonight, as the Penguins over here, they are going to need a penalty kill, a high sticking, I believe, from Tommy Novak, is going to put the Pens on the penalty kill here, up by 1. With, Raquel out, Jones out, the Pens did have to do some shuffling of lines. Philip Hollander, he's playing on the top line with Sidney Crosby and Brian Rust here tonight. Ville Koivunen slots back into the lineup with Ben Kindle and Tommy Novak on the third line. Connor Dewar, Blake Lizotte, and Ola Chari is the fourth line tonight. No Philip Tomasino. And meanwhile, Harrison Brunick, haven't seen his defense partner tonight, but it is one of Matt Dumba or Connor Clifton. I think it would be Dumba if I had my pick of the two. Anyways, the power plays also we will look at for the Pens here tonight. Crosby, Malkin, Rust Carlson. Those four, of course, is always on the power play 1 unit. Also, filling in for Rickard Rakell on that first power play unit, Ben Kindle, the 18-year-old kid who has been electrifying so far this year. He is going to get a shot with the top power play unit once the Pens hopefully get one here tonight. Ville Koivunen with Tommy Novak, Anthony Mantha, Justin Brazeau, and Chris Letang is the second power play unit. Kevin Hayes for the Pens, still out injured. He skated this morning. He is nearing a return, was in a full contact yellow jersey. And Tristan Jarry in net tonight for the Pens, looking at what's going on over here. 15 seconds left on this power play here for St. Louis. It goes back out to center. And also, one thing I did not mention, Evgeny Malkin sneakily in the top 5 for points in the NHL, and he leads the league in assists. So Evgeny Malkin, he is on fire to start the year. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to get into the extra Pittsburgh sports news here in a moment. To the comments section we go here. Magic here. Hockey do seem fun, though. Yes, hockey is indeed very, very fun. It's honestly the most exciting sport. It's my baby. Hockey is my thing. I think, I played it as a kid, and it is the most unpredictable, fast-paced, physical sport in the world, and no one can tell me otherwise. Even the players don't know why they aren't tackling. It says Alan the Prowl about the Steelers, which is where we are going to start here with the extra Pittsburgh sports news here for the evening. We are going to start with the Steelers. Let's brush through this really quickly. Just mentioned it a moment ago that I honestly do not want to give up any sort of high draft pick at the trade deadline here for a wide receiver. I think, even a 4th round pick is approaching to be too rich for my blood with how this, team is looking. But nonetheless, the Steelers, they are still being listed as a team looking for a wide receiver. Over the weekend, Jeremy Fowler with a report saying Pittsburgh, they are scouring the earth for a wide receiver. They are looking around. Las Vegas's Jacoby Myers is an option. They are calling about Miami's Jalen Waddle, but the Dolphins haven't showed they want to do anything yet. But there could be a receiver moved at the deadline. Pittsburgh could be involved in those conversations. That from ESPN's Jeremy Fowler. That, interest in Jacoby Myers, it was only confirmed even more today by Jordan Schultz, formerly of Fox Sports. Schultz saying that multiple teams have showed interest in trading for Jacoby Myers from the Vegas Raiders, who is in the last year of his contract. However, Vegas, the teams have had a hard time getting a clear read on whether Vegas is truly willing to move him. The belief is that they are seeking at least a day 2 pick for the Raiders to consider it. And like I said, I am not willing whatsoever to part ways with a 3rd round pick for Jacoby Myers. A 4th round pick, yes, in that case, but third round pick, no way at this point. Also, I'm not sure about you guys, even, putting in our minds right now mock trades of what the Steelers, could get in a trade, or what wide receivers they could related to the Steelers in Tony Pauline's report. Pauline also saying that the Steelers have been linked to Jalen Waddle, just like Fowler said, and Calvin Ridley from the Tennessee Titans. Ridley, honestly, he could be the most likely to get moved right now because they just sold off a corner earlier today. And on Kalshi Sports, I like these guys and their odds that they put out there. Jacoby Myers, over 50% likability that he will get traded. So we'll see if the Steelers do that. But, we'll see what happens. Did not hear anything today on Monday relating to wide receivers. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, we brought it up last night on stream. He scheduled to work out today with the Steelers. Have not seen anything on what went down in that workout yet. Maybe I will here once we're done live streaming tonight, but we'll see. I mean, wouldn't excite me in the slightest bit. There's a reason why he's still available. I mean, it'd just be a Nepo, let's reunite for old time's sake addition for Aaron Rodgers there, and I'm not sure I'd be all on board with it. Some other updates on wide receivers that have been, talked about on here before. A.J. Brown, agitated with the Eagles, but, doesn't look like the Eagles are going to trade him. Why should they with, the team they have? Barring any unforeseen unforeseen change, according to Diana Rossini for The Athletic, the Saints, they are not expected to move Chris Olave prior to the trade deadline. It's been reported before that they too have been working on a contract extension, Olave and the Saints, so we can move Olave to the bottom of the list of Steelers wide receiver gets. And then another one we brought up last night on stream as well. Apparently the Jacksonville Jaguars, though they are unlikely to trade him, are listening to calls for Brian Thomas Jr. If you want to really go crazy and go get a 1A, 1B for Aaron Rodgers and potentially a, rookie quarterback one day, go get Brian Thomas Jr. But on top of that, you're going to need to pay him probably a contract around what Metcalf is making and give up at least a first-round pick in the process. So that's a no bueno thing there. Looking at the AFC North, haven't talked about them too much here tonight. Baltimore Ravens yesterday, like I said, took down the Chicago Bears 30-16. That team looked a ton better with Tyler Huntley as their quarterback and their defense. I believe they got Roquan Smith back. They actually looked a little bit better. They didn't, look all that good on the first couple of drives from the Bears, but after that, they, hardened up. Also, Bengals, the Cincinnati Bengals, they were, I think at half, were winning 24-10 against the New York Jets, ended up losing 39-38 to the New York Jets without Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner, and with Justin Fields, who was not scheduled to start in that game, starting for New York. So Fields, the Steelers sleeper agent, coming through, taking down the Cincinnati Bengals for us. Fields, also talking about him, he needs to play, he needs to start next week for the Jets, and I think play that entire game for him to hit that minimum 25% of snaps incentive that will lock him in as a fourth-round compensatory pick for the Steelers. So hopefully Fields is going to get yet another look here coming up next week. And to wrap it up, Cleveland Browns, I believe they lost 32-12 or 13 or something like that to the New England Patriots. We brought up comparing Myles Garrett Day to TJ Watt's season, but still, it's fun watching Garrett have a historic performance and then still snap out on the sideline, slamming his helmet to the ground. Man, if only he had, a chance to get out of Cleveland. Oh, wait, he did. And yet he took the $40 million and his career is going to waste away there in football hell known as Cleveland, Ohio. Wrapping up here, talking about the Steelers for the day. Looking at the college ranks, mentioned rookie quarterbacks a moment ago. The Steelers, from what I've seen, were at least at 2 other college football games this weekend. Assistant GM for the Steelers, Andy Weidel, he was reportedly scouting the Missouri-Vanderbilt game on Saturday. Of course, you had Bo Pribula and Diego Pavia, 2 decent quarterbacks in the college football ranks. Now, not anywhere close to, first-round picks or maybe even, day 2 picks, but still guys that you can take a flyer on day 3. So Weidel was there checking those guys out. Also, there were 2 scouts confirmed at Alabama and South Carolina, which I was all over watching that game because you had Ty Simpson for Alabama, who has been flying up draft boards with how Bama has been performing this year. He's looked damn good. And then Lenora Sellers. I mean, yes, USC, they are, I think, like a little bit below 500 on the season, but Sellers, you're talking about you want to go get a guy who looks the part and can, break off big plays with his arms and his legs. Sellers is that guy. So I like that they are scouting that. 2 days ago to Pat Freiermuth. Sucks that he got injured, but glad that he is good now. Also, I apologize in advance. I do not know what year of the anniversary it is, but today Steelers posted this, and I agree with it. We remember the victims of the Tree of Life tragedy that happened in Pittsburgh a little while back. We remember that, and also I get we're on here bitching about the Steelers today, but if you're one of those people in the comments section of that post that the Steelers put out about the Tree of Life, honoring the Tree of Life tragedy, and you're still complaining about last night's game, get a grip. Like, what a little bitch move that is to complain about a football game, honor it when a post is supposed to honor people who lost their lives. Like, absolutely ridiculous. And the last thing here on the Steelers tonight, sending, of course, thoughts and prayers to the families affected by the Tree of Life tragedy from years back. Also, thoughts and prayers to an NBC Sports videographer who reportedly fell from the top of the Acrisure Stadium big scoreboard last night. Had to, Google this. WTAE in Pittsburgh reported on it, so it is legit. A man, I think, setting up either a camera or pyrotechnics, I believe, for NBC last night, fell off the back of the Acrisure Stadium scoreboard. He didn't go off the front where, you have the main concourse there where fans are stirring about, all throughout the game. Fell off the back of it 50 feet onto another concourse. From what I read, his lower body took the brunt of the damage. He remains in critical condition. OSHA investigating. So thoughts and prayers to that person right there. Hopefully he is able to come through. Switching gears over here to hockey. 5 minutes left to play in this first period between the Blues and Penguins. Just a couple of extra notes on the Penguins here today. Mentioned that Ville Koivunen is up from Wilkes-Barre, had 11 points in 6 games. Wilkes-Barre on a heater right now, 7-0 to start the season. 2 more wins since we last spoke. So they are 7-0 off to their hottest starts And with 2 more wins, they will tie the franchise record for 9-0 start to the season, tying the 05-06 baby Penguins in the 2010-2011 team as well. Sergei Murashov down there had another shutout the other night. I believe he is 6 or 7-0 now on the season. He just won AHL Player of the Week. No shock there. So he is on an absolute roll. Cannot wait to see that kid in the NHL at some point this year. And maybe it's sooner rather than later, because the St. Louis Blues, they just tied the game. Braden Shen with numbers up ice, feeding Jordan Kyrou an easy tap in again for the Blues there. So now we have a tied game at 2 in Pittsburgh, as the first period will be ending shortly. David Pagnotta, NHL insider, again on another podcast, said that the Penguins basically have an idea of which teams right now would like to get their hands on some of their assets. They've relayed what price it is going to be for guys like Rust and Raquel. So there still are, I think, trade conversations maybe once every day or so with the Penguins and another team. So we'll see if this hot start maybe, spells any of those, trade conversations, or if they, now go on a losing streak, if it'll heat up the trade market once again for some guys on this Pens team. And to wrap up the Pens talk here tonight, Dan Muse, head coach of the Pittsburgh Penguins, the hot start with this Pens. Glad that he is there. Also, glad that Dan Muse is there, because we remember back when we were still talking about coaching candidates for this Pens team, one of them, Mitch Love, assistant coach for the Washington Capitals, he was thought to be a front runner for the job. Glad the Steelers picked Muse, not just because the Pens are, playing good right now, but because Mitch Love has been suspended by the NHL for the entire 2025-26 season following an investigation into alleged domestic abuse. The victim reported allegations directly to the NHL and to the teams that Love interviewed with over the summer for head coaching vacancies. The Capitals fired Love effective immediately yesterday after the findings of the NHL-led investigation into past allegations. Those updates there from Frank Saravelli. And to finish on a happy note here today, it's glad to see that one legend in baseball for the Pittsburgh Pirates, which, honestly, there aren't many of them, still hanging around Pittsburgh on Saturday night against the Blue Jackets. Good old Clint Hurdle, still in the Berg. Glad to see that he is still hanging around. And hopefully the Pirates have found their next great manager in Donnie Kelly, but Kelly's got a long way to go to have the success that Hurdle had with this Pirates team, which was 3 playoff appearances, but, that's, going to be celebrated like a damn World Series here in Pittsburgh, honestly. So, all right. Wrapping up here with some comments here for the night, ladies and gentlemen. Sign MVS. We are saved. Wind hurts MVS. Yeah, very injury prone and has bounced around a couple of teams. There's a reason, I think, beyond health, adding in production, of why he is still available. Al on the prowl with a roll tide there. Still thinking about, how I want to tier my favorite quarterback prospects for this year's draft. Lenore Sellers, he's up there, especially now that he, showed well against a legit top team in college football in Bama. Ty Simpson, he's a fast riser. Trying to think who else here. Of course, Diego Pavia, maybe as a day 3 flyer. Ty Simpson's been a high riser. Damn, why am I all of a sudden now blanking on college football quarterbacks? Fernando Mendoza, he's another one. Maybe another, late day pick if you want, Nico Iamaliava. John Mateer. He's kind of slid down a little bit, but I still like him. So, yeah. Roll Tide. Roll Tide. Yeah. You guys reacting in the comments here to the Tree of Life thing and the situation at Acrisure Stadium last night. Couldn't have said it better myself. Their Magic. Need a wing and a prayer. Indeed, we did. So, that sign was just like Mike Williams, LMAO. Yeah, that would be just like bringing in Mike Williams, a guy who was, elsewhere with, a Hall of Fame quarterback lighting it up, and now on the last legs of his career comes to Pittsburgh. Guess Pittsburgh, not to the extent of the Baltimore Ravens. They're becoming a retirement home for wide receivers, but I think we can officially classify the Steelers as a retirement home for corners. I'm talking about Patrick Peterson, Darius Slay. I mean, he's 31 years old, but Jalen Ramsey hasn't flashed. A couple of other guys, defensive backs in general, Keanu Neal, those types of guys. So Cam Sutton, we'll see what comes of this group for the rest of the year. Okay, here, ladies and gentlemen, think that is going to just about do it here for the night. Gonna real quick go one scroll here through Twitter, and we do got some breaking news here. Went live right after this happened, so I didn't see it until now. Tyler Lockett, who just got cut from the Tennessee Titans the other day, signing with the Las Vegas Raiders. So you're talking about old faces going with familiar, with guys who are familiar with them. MVS is doing that with Aaron Rodgers apparently in this workout. Now Tyler Lockett going back out to the West Coast, and he is going to reunite with Pete Carroll and Geno Smith. Maybe even Kenny Pickett will throw the ball to him. Who knows? LOL, what happened to Jacoby or Shaheed? I'd still would like to have those guys, but I'm not giving up anything more than a fourth, honestly. So third day one and day two picks, they are off the table in a big way here, ladies and gentlemen. So who knows? Maybe this Tyler Lockett signing, bring in Lockett, wide receiver, knows the quarterback. Maybe that does free up Jacoby Myers a tiny bit. They finally get that, washed veteran wide receiver that they wanted. They tried it with Amari Cooper, and then he retired before the season even started. So, looking here, do have it right here. So, we got the breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. MVS signing with the Steelers. Free agent wide receiver Marquez Valdez-Scantling plans to sign with the Steelers, per sources, reuniting with Aaron Rodgers, just like they did in Green Bay. That is about 15 minutes ago. So, apologize for not getting to it sooner. There it is. MVS and Aaron Rodgers reuniting. We are saved, ladies and gentlemen. Our wide receiver 2 woes are solved. So I take it back. I don't see any way Jacoby Myers or Shaheed become Steelers now. There goes that. All right. Now that we got that out of the way, I think that is going to do it for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Want to thank each and every single one of you joining me here this evening on stream for nearly 2 hours. I knew that this was going to be a big one. There was lots and lots here to talk about. Lots of things and feelings and emotions to get off our chest, and I think for the most part we did it. But now, tomorrow, we're probably going to do it all over again, because tomorrow, Mike Tomlin, he's going to have his annual Tuesday press conference. We'll see what kind of excuses, whether it's, injuries or field conditions or whatever the hell else he comes up with. We'll see what excuses he gives with his defense as he slams any little issue that the offense had. So we will watch his press conference tomorrow and come back tomorrow night, recapping what all was said there. And we will also come back tomorrow with a recap of what goes on in this Penguins game here tonight. I believe it's in the first intermission, tied up at 2. And anything else that goes on between now and then. Maybe some extra talk about MVS and the Steelers wide receiver situation. I'm sure anything and everything Pittsburgh sports related, we will come back with tomorrow. So with that, after last night and tonight, going to give the voice a rest for a little bit, and we will be back here tomorrow to break everything down for the final time, ladies and gentlemen. Want to thank you all for joining me. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications so that you never miss a live stream or a video here on the channel. Like this live stream, share this live stream, leave a comment in the comment section after the fact. I see those, and we'll give a reaction to them as well. And lastly, go give the channel a follow, Facebook, Instagram, and X at SteelCitySR, and tune in later tonight for a new edition of SCSR 60. So with that, thank you all for joining me. Have a good rest of your Monday night. Go try to catch up on some sleep from watching that debacle last night, and we'll reconvene tomorrow. Have a good one, ladies and gentlemen. Peace.